Hello and welcome to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Nina Adio, a social media marketing expert specific to the wedding industry. On this show, I discuss tips to help you DIY your social media, as well as getting the confidence and income to outsource it. Thank you for allowing this episode to come through on your Bluetooth, your car radio, wherever it may be you're listening from today. Now, let's take your wedding business to the next level. Hi, guys, and welcome back to the I Do Wedding Marketing Podcast. I have a bit of a bonus episode for you today. Last night, I did an Instagram Live with Margot Frazee, who is the creator of the Wedding Summit series, in addition to being a wedding planner. And we chatted all about the sales edition of the Wedding Summit series. We went into sales tips, we went into pricing, neurodivergent weddings, and of course, we went into what the Wedding Summit series entails. So, if you get a free ticket, it's going to start March 11th. If you upgrade your ticket, you get access to all of the courses, the presentations, and the add-ons now. One of the add-ons is free access to my ChatGPT for Wedding Marketing course. So that's something new I'm doing, and I'm really excited about it. So listen up and enjoy this conversation with Margot Frazee. And don't worry, the link for the Wedding Summit series can be found in the show notes. Hello, everybody. We are going live with Margot Frazee to talk about the Wedding Summit series. So some of you have been part of a few go-rounds of the Wedding Summit series before, either ones that I have been part of personally or ones that have just been going on since Margot has been doing this since, I believe, 2020. And this edition, it is the sales edition of the Wedding Summit series. So you are going to learn all about selling your wedding business through the many different presentations in this series. So Margot, what to expect in the summit, if you should upgrade your ticket, whatever it is, she'll be here to answer it. So I just accepted her invite, so she should be popping up. Here she is. Hi, Margot.
Hi there. How are you?
Hey, how are you doing? You've had a busy day of lives, right?
Yes, lots of lives, lots of chatting with the speakers, but I love it, so I'm fine. It also keeps me focused because I have a lot of stuff to do because starting tomorrow, all the stuff for the summit is released to our pass holders. They get early access. So I'm just doing all my final checks and making sure that all of that is done. So
That
exciting.
A great add-on and feature. Lemoyne Luke says her link isn't working. I wonder what link you have that isn't working. Let me know so we can see if we can help you out. But I didn't realize they get early access, so they get to watch things earlier, and really, it's like a pre-party. It's a whole whole extra.
Right. Well, I want them to be able to watch it and then come to the summit armed with their questions and because there is a lot of interaction with the speakers during the summit. You guys are inside the summit Facebook group. We have a live Q&A on the last day. There's a lot of interaction during panels and everything. So we want people to definitely check it out. Can you hear my dog absolutely panting he is starving in the desert? It has been thundering. So there's thunder over here, and then there's a dog hyperventilating over here. And I'm just
I would have never guessed. Yeah.
Okay, good. People always tell me they can't hear anything. They can't hear the garbage trucks. They can't hear the thunder. I'm like, it sounds so loud to me for whatever reason. So Matt says, can't hear the dog. Excellent. Yeah. He is fine. He is just an absolute scaredy cat. He's a fraidy boy. So whenever there's thunder, he's like, no, mommy, I don't like it.
What kind of dog is he?
He is part terrier, part Australian shepherd. So he just looks like a really big Jack Russell Terrier. That's what it looks like. People are always really surprised when they see him in person. They're like, oh, he's a lot bigger than I thought. I'm like, yeah, he's 38 pounds.
Yeah.
He just looks like a Jack Russell Terrier.
A Jack Russell Chihuahua, a Jack Chi. And something. So we all
Yeah. One of my past couples, I just put up I got their gallery back, and all I wanted to do was post photos of their dog. So if you go to my planning company, Harmony Creative Studio, you will see the most adorable dog, because he's like a terrier like what are the sausage dog, the long ones, the wiener dogs. It's like a Jack Russell Terrier wiener dog. It's the most adorable dog. So yeah, kind of obsessed with dogs.
We mentioned the early access for the summit, and we spoke about this a bit, and it's one of my favorite features is just getting in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
Because you really get to have conversations, not even just with the speakers, which I think is really cool, but with other wedding industry in a non-competitive way. Like, it's in a really community-based way where you can ask the questions that maybe you wouldn't ask your local competitors. You know, here you can say whatever you want, ask whatever you want, and you get a lot of really good answers.
Right. Someone asked to see the dog. Yeah. So before I get into the community aspect, I will see.
Hello.
He's like, I don't like this, mommy. But there he is. All his freightiness. He's going like, all right, buddy, you can go back to the bed.
Oh,
hey.
No.
When people ask to see the dog, I must oblige.
Yes.
Yes. Give the people what they want. So the summit, the community aspect of the summit has always been really ingrained in our values and in the structure of the summit, because I want to facilitate conversation between the different types of wedding professionals, right? So like, there was a great thread maybe 2 weeks ago where a planner was asking like a very genuine question. She was like, why do venues do it this way? Can somebody explain it to me? But she wasn't like, can you explain it to me? She was like, please help me understand, one, so I can tell my clients and I can understand a little bit better. And there were venue owners in the group that were like, this is why we do it this way. These are the costs that are involved on our end. Just facilitating that understanding and conversation, because what happens when wedding industry pros all talk together is that collectively we can charge higher rates. We know more about the process. We're better to each other. We're more empathetic to each other. And the whole thing is just easier, and the client gets a better product, right? It's just wins on top of wins on top of wins. So when we do the summit, which is an online event, we do it twice a year for our free live main editions, I call them, deep dives into one topic. We're doing it next week, March 11th through the 13th, and our deep dive topic. I'm my brain firing the speech may be a little affected here. The last thing I'm doing. The deep dive topic is sales, because this is what I always try to marry it with what people ask for and what I think is going to be most beneficial at any given time. And right now that is sales, because I think there is a lot of opportunity out there if you have the skill set to be able to communicate your value, get qualified leads, close sales, follow up effectively. Mm-hmm. All of these things that are going to help you book more, better, higher rates, more aligned couples, all of that stuff. There's a lot of opportunity for it here as we come out of kind of a wonky year last year. But I will say, I was giving this some thought, because I don't know if I told you, but like, I have several useless degrees in political science and history and whatever. So election years are always these really interesting things to me. And Shannon from Wedding MBA put up a very interesting stat about how sales go down before elections and then they pick back up again. So I would say that 2024 can be this really transitional year if people can capture these first 6 months, right? Like these first 6, so that means like 3 more months, right? Yes. Because I think what will happen naturally is in like August, people are going to start worrying about the election. No matter your affiliate, your political affiliation, you're going to have some anxiety about the election, and that causes economic depression. So we got to capture it before people start freaking out, right? Because right now they're in like, this is cool. I'm not so worried about it because the average person doesn't follow politics like a maniac like I do. And they're not concerned about it. They're concerned about getting married. But when it's at its fever pitch, the couple months before the election, we will probably see a big drop off. So you have a finite amount of time to capture, this sales opportunity that I think is happening.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That stat blew me away. It was over at, if you guys watching, if you go to The Wedding MBA on Instagram, you'll see it. Because I never thought about it. And even I was talking with a prospective client today, and they were asking, is now really a good time to start, social media because we're not in wedding season? And I was like, yes, it is, because people are just coming off of getting engaged. And
yeah, we're seeing a longer kind of engagement season, right? And I have always noticed for the front end vendors, venues, planners, photographers, people who are usually booked first in the process, you will see a huge spike in increase after July 4th of every year, because for whatever reason, tons of people get engaged over the 4th of July weekend because it's like a holiday. My own sister got engaged over the 4th of July, whereas I got engaged in February. So it's like those two different things. So we are seeing like an expansion of the engagement season, because traditionally it was very much like Thanksgiving, Christmas, Valentine's Day, right? But that has, as the younger generations have stopped really caring if their families approve of what they're doing. In all honesty, I think that's the culprit, right? Because people used to have to ask for the hand in marriage and all of that. Like, that is way down, thankfully. But as we move away from that, we're also moving away from the more traditional time period. So we're not constrained by this, if you don't get on top of things by Valentine's Day, you've missed it. I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, have you gotten to watch all the presentations yet, or some of them? So can I ask you about some?
I have to watch them. I have to quality control them, right? Because it is very rare that it happens, but sometimes people will use videos or things that I can tell are IP that's from other people, and I can't use that. That's historically the most problem. It's not bad content. It's just hey, we can't use this video. This is from Disney, stuff like that. No, I watch them all. I really love the sales ones because we're hitting sales from so many different angles, right? So many different angles, because there's over 30 speakers. That's the biggest number we've ever had, because I think that sales requires it. Because I think I was telling somebody else today, I would love nothing more than to just teach people how to be amazing wedding planners, how to deliver an amazing wedding planning experience. But we can't get to any of that before we have clients. And that's the sales part. So that's why it's this huge thing that I think people need to be, need to hear about it from a lot of different angles. Yeah. Don't ask me to play favorites. I might tell you some of the ones that I think are really interesting, but I never play favorites. So
I'm excited to see the presentation on neurodivergent weddings and celebrate.
That was a really interesting one. So Sarah had originally sent me a topic that somebody else was already doing. And so what I love to do with our speakers is I'm like, let's dig a little deeper, right? These are your top line things that you like to talk about, but now there's 30 people that are talking. What are the next couple of things that you find really interesting, that you think people should know about, but maybe you don't get asked to speak on a lot because you're talking about that top line thing, right? And she said, well, I'd really love to talk about neurodivergency and how that affects sales and wedding pros themselves who are part of the neurodivergent community and all this. And I said, that is a really interesting topic. I would love for you to do that, because it's one of those ways where you can just learn more about the people that you want to hire you, right? And not everyone thinks like you. Not everyone lives like you. Not everyone makes decisions like you. Some of that is wrapped up in neurodiversity versus neurotypicalness, or the right word is escaping me right now because it's been a long day. But we're having sessions like that. We're also having Maria Palladino from Equally Wed come and talk about inclusive language, because you may be with Maria and Sarah's presentations, unconsciously turning people away that you would like to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want that for anyone. I don't want anyone to be in a position where they're like, I would love to service the LGBTQ plus community, but they just haven't had a chance yet, or they're starting out and they don't have any photos or whatever it is. And they may inadvertently be, you know, giving some of those type of couples pause, right? We want to make sure that we are removing any barriers to people envisioning themselves hiring you.
Yeah.
That's what it is with a lot of those sessions.
Another one I'm excited for that I think is already within the Facebook group is Candace Coppola talking about Gen Z.
Yeah, that was such a good one. So we have for all of our summits, we have a pre-party, which is like we do a handful of sessions live. I ask the speakers to do these particular sessions live because I think they're like what people need to know at the start.
Mm-hmm.
So we were thinking about what would be some overriding factors, what's working now with sales, but also what things people should keep in mind as they hear the rest of the education. And selling to Gen Z is definitely one of those things that people have to keep in mind because they are the people getting married now.
Yeah.
I'm 44 years old. The number of people in my age category, elder millennials, younger Gen Z, I was born in 1979, you know, the age pool of people my age getting married is low. We are either already married or we're having a second marriage and maybe we're not having the big extravaganza anymore. Gen Z is the generation that will be getting married for the next 10 years. It's just facts.
Yeah.
Like, as much as you would like it not to be that way, myself included, just because I went and watched Dune and I was like, look at how cool these Gen Z actors are. But like, we have to familiarize ourselves with not only what they like, but what they expect. Because I think a lot of what's really interesting about Gen Z is that they expect things, not because they feel entitled, but because they've grown up with a cell phone in their hand.
Yes.
Right? They've grown up with the internet. I only got the internet at 16, right? Like that is a very different experience than if you were able to go to YouTube and watch Go Gabba Go or whatever those shows are at age 4. You know what I mean? Like that's a much different, you know, relationship with information, right? So they have some different expectations only because that's the only way they've ever known life. Mm-hmm. So it was really interesting to talk about. It's in our Summit Facebook group right now. You can watch it in there for another couple days, and then it will shift to her presentation page, and people can watch it until the end of the summit. So
people can only get in the Facebook group if they register, even if it's with the free ticket.
Well, I mean, not technically, but here's the thing. You can always get in the Summit Facebook group, but if we've learned anything this week, we can't always count on Facebook. So I always tell people, I'm like, you'll get like most of the information inside the Facebook group, but you won't get all of the information, right? Case in point, we have like a digital swag bag at the end that we send everyone. That only goes out by email. The other day, if Facebook hadn't have fixed itself, we would have gone to Zoom. Only the people that I was able to email would have, through the free ticket, would have gotten the link to join us, right? Like, these are just kind of some basic things. So I would encourage people to sign up for the free ticket, even if they're already in our Facebook group.
Yeah.
Only because that way they can be sure they get 100% of the information. And all that will happen is that you will get emails during the summit telling you where to go and what to do and helpful information. And then you'll get like 1 or 2 emails from me a month. Like, I'm not a huge emailer. Like, it's me telling people about like free trainings we're doing in the summit community between summits. And like, you know, it's not, I really don't email that much. I'm always kind of surprised when people unsubscribe. I'm like,
it's helpful. Opportunities going on in the summit with the live presentations, the pre-party, everything. That it's just a nice way to know you're being informed about everything. One thing I noticed with Gen Z, we're talking about it, is I'm seeing on Instagram people I see it with florists a lot. They'll show the floral arrangements and then they'll put what this arrangement costs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing, it sounds surprising to say, but it's so new in our industry to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
I saw one recently. Oh, I wish I knew her name off the top of my head, but it was this gorgeous ceremony. It was overrun with flowers hanging from the ceilings, flowers on it, you know. And she said, "Hey, this flower aisle, this is $8,000 worth of flowers. These things hanging from the ceiling, that's $6,000 worth of flowers. The labor and time that it took to do this, that's another $3,000, and the end total was above $30,000." And I was like, finally. Finally some realistic stuff, because what happens is people see that and they don't realize how much an orchid costs, how much time, effort, labor to install something like that in the time frame that the venues give you. It takes a dozen people, right? Like these kinds of things that the average person just doesn't know. But I love that we're starting to educate people, because if someone wants that, that florist will stop getting emails from people in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. She just will, because they just know that that is not a good match, right?
Right.
Which is not only a waste of the florist time, it's a waste of the couple's time. That's why, you know, when we were talking to Megan Gilligan from the Weddings for Real podcast during our pre-party, and we will be also talking to Tom Chelendick from The Knot about their couple survey. Thousands of couples took this survey, so it's just a bunch of data points. And one of the things that they are both telling me, right, Megan told me during her session, Tom told me he will be talking about, is these price expectations and transparency. People want price transparency, right? I'm really glad that we're getting away from this idea that our pricing is a secret, or that you have to contact us to get any idea of what we're talking about, because I know I'm a planner myself. I can't custom quote willy-nilly, right? But I can tell you that if you want me to be your full planner, full planning and design, that is not possible for under $10,000, right? So then that just kind of gives people some kind of baseline. And we shouldn't be afraid of talking about that. I will say that couples that see themselves anywhere near that price are not turned off by it. It's the people who want to spend $700 on planners that I no longer spend my time on, because they know it's not going to happen. So that is just cutting down on excess time. So
it can become, we'll get frustrated when we see people asking for services for a few $100s, but at the same time, we're not educating them on what it. So I think it's
right. You would never go into, I'm shopping for a new car, right? I'm the worst. I am the worst consumer. Like, I'm the worst client. I already know that about myself. I've been looking for a car for 6 months. Price to me is not really an object at this point. Like, it's not, it's that I can't find anything I like more than the car that I've had for the last 6 years. So, but if I were to open up a dealer's website or something and they weren't able to tell me MSRP, right? Manufacturer, standard pricing, whatever that means, and I had to go to the Honda dealership to figure out what the price of the car was, even the starting price or the base price or whatever, you know what I mean? Which probably won't be what I end up getting, because I'm bougie. So I like, you know what I mean? Like, it won't be a base model, but like, if I couldn't even tell that the base model Honda is 26 and the base model Lexus is 56 or whatever that is, it would be really, really frustrating as a consumer.
Lexus would be told I can't afford it, you know, or even to Honda and be told I can't afford it. Nobody wants that feeling, you know, and I think for the vendor, it helps because it eliminates that mindset of I'm going to go in and negotiate. It's like you saw the starting price. And speaking of pricing, I also love that the budget savvy bride, Jessica Bishop, is going to be.
So that is a blog that I looked at when I got married in 2012. It's a long-standing publication. Jessica knows her stuff. And she also knows and will be sharing, you know, a lot of the statistics about the money that most people spend, right? Luxury weddings are a very small percentage of the amount of weddings that happen every year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to me that every wedding professional thinks that they are going to be a part of that very small sliver of weddings. The reality is that most people will be working with some type of budget. I mean, everybody has a budget.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've worked with people who spent 500 grand on their weddings. They still had a budget,
yeah.
right? But when I'm talking about, like, when we think of budget weddings, that is the typical wedding that people have. I spent under $30,000 on my own wedding, right? Like, I didn't have a $500,000 wedding. These are right. These are the things that people, I think, we really need to consider. One, how you can still make a profit, make a living off of this type of event, which I love that Jessica talks about. And then also how to know how to speak to the concerns of a budget conscious couple without turning them off, making them feel bad, shaming their budget, all of these things that are going to make them definitely not hire you. So yeah, that's a good one as well. Just because I didn't even know she knew who I was. And then that submission showed up and I was like, I know you. I read this blog. Love it.
I fangirled a little when I saw
a little bit.
I was pretty excited. So can we talk about some reasons why people should consider upgrading their ticket?
Sure.
One being the ChatGPT for Wedding Marketing course. I'm giving a freebie this year, part of, one of my courses. So I'm really excited for people to get access to that. And I think the timing's good because they're going to be so revved up on selling that they're going to enjoy the course.
Right. I keep bending over. I keep trying to calm him. He is just absolutely, my God.
Yeah.
Oh my. We're going to go wrap up in a blanket after we're done with this because I'll be done with my on-screen stuff. But the VIP pass is one of those things where I'm trying to meet everybody where they are, right? I would love to say that I would do this out of the goodness of my heart, even if it didn't make a cent, but I don't think that's true because it is a lot of work on my part. But I want to meet people where they are. And so there's two paths, right? Everyone has to start with a free ticket. That's the be all. You have to start there. So you get the link, go get the free ticket. And if that's all you want to do, if you don't want to spend any money, you can come and watch the vast majority of the content, right? During Summit Week. But you can only watch it for a finite amount of time. And that's because we want you to have access to it. We don't want to put any barriers up, but we have to respect the fact that people like yourselves who are putting out their education and putting bonuses in the past and things like that, those things have real value and they can't just be floating out there forever for free. So to handle that part of it, we have the VIP pass, which is for wedding pros that really want to make a transformation. They want to put what they've learned into action because I'm all about action. So that comes with some exclusive, like, get it done sessions where we'll show you how to, like, start a marketing email funnel, right? Like, people always ask me that. It comes with a private podcast feed, which people say they love. It comes with a workbook so people can follow along. It comes with over $4,000 of bonuses, like your ChatGPT course, templates, videos, one-to-one services like website audits and things like that with professionals. Like really, really cool stuff that will help you implement. And then it also comes with our VIP day and then lifetime access to all of the content, right? So you can watch it now, rewatch it, when you want, when it becomes applicable to you, people have past Summit editions from like 3 years ago and they're like, oh, I really needed to know. I keep mentioning this one email where the woman was like, I really had a question about linens and linen sizing. And like, I couldn't really find it on the internet or like those free things that you can find online. So she went back and she watched one of the sessions from the design workshop, which was talking about like measuring a room and figuring out table size and all this kind of stuff. And she was like, I was finally able to find the answer to my question from 3 years ago because table sizing's not changing, right? Like,
yeah. And there's no example, Emily Foster and the build an FAQ section on your website that sells. You may not be redoing your website today, but maybe 3 months from now when you are, then you can go back and get that value. So it's stuff that's gonna be pretty evergreen and stay relevant, because it's so industry specific.
Right. Yeah. everything is sales specific, everything is wedding specific. It is not always delivered by someone who's inside the wedding industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could be an expert in something, like you're a social media expert. We also have sales experts, marketing experts, right? And then we also have wedding professionals from all over the country, from tons of different, so we have a caterer, a live painter, planner,
Venues,
photographer, DJ, like we're trying to run the gamut, right? Because I want people to hear something that is going to help them. And the more people I can put in front of them as a facilitator, like an education facilitator, the more likely they are to do that. And the VIP pass makes it so that they can look back at that content whenever they want, right?
Yeah.
And then that's a way to revenue share with the speakers, and in a way that feels good that everyone is, benefiting, right? Some people ask about that, and I'm like, that's how it works, right? You click on Nina's link, you end up getting something, then Nina gets a little piece, right? It's one of those things where I think people are like, well, there must be some shady shit happening, on the back end of the summit. Like, because why else would it be free, or why would it be low cost? And I'm like, because it's a community effort, right? And that makes it this big thing where your piece of it is a presentation and a bonus, right? But then there's 30 presentations and there's 20 bonuses. It's a communal effort.
Yeah, I'm really honored to be a part of it, and I really thank you for allowing me to be part of this experience in your world. I really love it, and each time I get to participate, I'm really grateful. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope to see everyone at the summit. Again, the top line is go grab your free ticket from Nina's, I'm sure you got the link somewhere in your bio, and grab your free ticket. And then you can kind of choose kind of what you want to do, right? Do you want to just kind of view it and see what it's like this first time around? Or do you know that you want to, implement and get a deeper dive into some of these sales strategies?
Yeah. And, I'll be talking about starting to sale on social media. Yep. So everybody here on this, you're on Instagram. So I think,
right.
I think you'll like what I'm talking about. And I try to give some connecting the dots of using social media to really teach your audience or show your audience what they're looking for. So I think they'll get some takeaways from it. I'm excited.
Nice. Yeah, you always do great takeaways. Your presentation's also full of like you showing examples and things like that, which I always love, because I think people are like, that sounds great. What's she talking about? Like, so I like the examples. And starting to sell on social media is something that people ask about, because they don't want to go down the like rabbit hole of spending time without getting anything back for it. So giving some solid tips, having something that people can take away, where it's like, you don't have to spend all day on it, but you do have to be strategic. Mm-hmm. Right? You have to be strategic, and these are the ways that you can be strategic. I love that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, Margo.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate it, and I'm so excited to kick everything off next week. Thank you again so much. And
absolutely, always love it. Love chatting. And again, I hope to see anybody who's watching at the summit next week. It's happening.
Here in my bio link, and you're gonna fall in love with Margo and everything she does. Thanks so much.
Not required, but it's a happy bonus. All right, everyone.
All right.
Thanks so much.